I have a little bit of an interesting idea that I want to share with you today about Parashat Yitro. It's kind of a downer in a little way, but hopefully we can get up, we can get high on this. It definitely is a weird one, I think. Okay, so we're about to have Matan Torah. Matan Torah, the most amazing day probably in the history of the world. But what happens before we get the Torah? So Hashem has a whole bunch of instructions for us before the Torah comes. And Hashem says to Moshe, I'm coming in the cloud, so everyone should hear my words. Go tell the people to make themselves holy and prepare for 3 days and wash their clothes. And then he warns Moshe Rabbeinu, set boundaries, says the art school. I want to use their words. Set boundaries around the mountain, saying to the people, be very careful. Alot bahad, don't go up the mountain. Ungoa bekatzehu. Let's see what it says here in the art school. Or touching its edge. Kol hanogea bahad mot yumat. Anyone who touches the mountain will surely die. Have we ever thought about this? How would the person die? Have we ever thought about this? That's what I would think. But it says, let's go forward and read the Chumash. Lotiga bo yad. Anyone want to volunteer and translate this? And the way we understand it for our entire lives, probably. Lotiga bo yad. No, don't touch it. Kisako yisakel o yaro yare. What does that mean? In behemayim ish lo yechiyah. Whether you're a man or an animal, you will not live. Imshloch hayovel. When the shofar finishes blasting, everyone can come up to the mountain. So we have the most amazing event. Do not come up the mountain. You guys go around the mountain. Moshe will go up. You stay down. If you go up the mountain, you're going to die. This is warning number 1. And Moshe goes down and tells the people. Go up a few more pisukim. And he says, Lech red, Hashem says to Moshe again. Moshe, red hayed ba'am. Go warn the people. This is the second time. Pen yehersu el Hashem lerot. Let's do the art school. Lest they break through to Hashem to see, they're going to break through. That means they're going to climb up the mountain. V'nafal memenu rav. And a multitude of them will fall if they break through. Moshe, what I spoke to you about yesterday, we made this into a shiur. So you can leave or you can stay. And Moshe told Hashem, the people can't go up the mountain. Why are you telling me to tell them it again? They already heard this. I told them already. Don't go up the mountain. Didn't you just tell us? Go make a boundary around the mountain. What does Hashem answer him? Go down and do exactly what I told you to do. Tell them, don't go up the mountain. You and Aharon can go up. Moshe goes the highest level. And the Kohanim and the people, bless you. Don't let them break through to go up to Hashem. What does it say in the art scroll? Lest he burst forth against them. And then right after that, Moshe goes down. There's 10 commandments. So at the highest point in our Torah cycle of the year, 10 commandments is filled with warnings about death if someone should try to climb this mountain.
I think that's 1 second. In this parasha, Hashem just tells the commandments with Hashem and Moshe. right?
Yeah.
Moshe did go 40 days, 40 days.
He went up after this. Yeah.
First, we're told
First we're told the 10 Commandments, and
he
then
comes down with the
no, and then he said, "Come up and get the written. I'll give you the tablets." So
the tablets say what was just different.
right. So there was no Mrs. Adato. How many years ago we spoke about this? The first Yitro we ever had this class. There was no reading material at the 10 Commandments, and so the pictures you see of Har Sinai with the 10 Commandments on top, fake. It's all fake. It's not the way it was. There was no tablets. Right, Akiva? Remember this? It was just listen. That's what it was. Yes. And then after the class, I'll give you the sources. You go look it up yourself. And I remember saying this.
Why did they need to get the
They believe him, but the written word of Hashem. This is to pass on for generations. This is like the. I remember I said to ladies sometimes when I go around, you do like trainings or presentations to customers or something. One of the lessons that I learned, and everyone can be different. This is just for me. Don't hand out that pamphlet while you're talking, because then they're not going to listen to you. They're tuning you out. They're just going to read. First, say what you want to say, and then give them the pamphlet to read. The second you hand out these things, you're done. You lost the whole crap. Right? Har Sinai, even the PowerPoint presentations, I never use those either. Don't do the power. They're just reading the PowerPoint presentations. Speak. Yeah, but on a very short level. There was nothing besides for listening and lightning and thunder and a cloud. You couldn't see anyway. The cloud was so thick, so it was probably pitch black. That was it. Listen. Yeah. That was it. Yeah, and it's so beautiful and it's also the same as the Haftarah yesterday. Right? When he said that the room was filled with smoke and he heard Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. If you want to get to the highest possible spiritual level, take your physical senses out. Shema Yisrael, we cover our eyes so we can understand Hashem better and listen to Hashem better. You have to dull your physical senses, right? Your physicality will drag you down. And so just turn it all off and listen to Hashem. That's why this huge cloud. Why would you make a big cloud? Fill up the whole thing with smoke. There's a mountain full of flowers. You can't even see them. There's a big cloud because that's the point. Just be quiet, listen. Afterwards, yes, come up for 40 days and I'll give you the written word. Make sense? But before this greatest event, and I feel like we don't pay enough attention to this because Hashem is very concerned with don't climb this mountain, guys. Otherwise you'll die. It's kind of a damper on the whole mood. And he told them once, Moshe goes to tell the people, guys, don't climb this mountain. And then Hashem says, by the way, tell the people don't climb the mountain. I just told them don't climb the mountain. Tell them again, don't climb the mountain. And I was talking with Moshe and a couple of guys yesterday. You can see it, and I'm not judging groups, but you can definitely, you can see a mentality sometimes. If you have, let's say, a Hasidic Shatish, how much do Hasidim want to get close to the Rebbe? And so they put these like police barricades on. These guys are going to break through. Like sometimes it gets really intense. Right? So sometimes for spiritual reasons, there's a great rabbi. When I was in Lakewood, it was insane. It was a culture shock of my life when I was in Lakewood, growing up a Syrian guy in Deal. But when I was in Lakewood, they used to have Sadiq Bala'id. First of all, when I was there were 5,000 people. There's probably, who knows how many now. There were 5,000 people in the yeshiva when I was there. Sadiq Bala'id, I used to remember. Sadiq is coming to the town. You know the pictures in Europe, you see it's like paintings on walls they have now, like kids climbing lampposts, like looking at the rabbi. Literally guys climbing lampposts to see the rabbi that's coming to town. And I remember one time I want to see the rabbi also. And so I joined the crowd, but you can be killed. You can be stepped on. I mean, lehavdil meron. Right? You can be trampled on. It's really aggressive. Huh? What happened?
Nothing happened for him, but it was the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's more of a precautionary to.
You can see the mentality of someone saying, I need to get closer. I don't know if I told you this yesterday, Moshe, but almost like a moth has to get close to the light. Or we have the mosquito lights. You're going to kill yourself if you touch that blue mosquito light. I need to get close to the light. I need to get close to it. And Hashem said, don't come close. I'm telling you over and over again, don't cross this barricade. And so Hashem is very, very obsessed with this. So I was concerned with it. And so you know the answer already, but how would you die? So how do we picture it happening? Let's say someone would have breached the perimeter and said, I'm going up to Har Sinai. What would happen to this person? Hashem says he's going to die. How would he die? So growing up, I always thought a lightning bolt will come out and zap the guy. It'll be done, finished. It was kolot uvrakim, the whole mountain was thunder and lightning. But it says in the pasuk, kisako yisakel, or yaro yare, he will be stoned. I don't know, maybe an avalanche? These midrashim make this pasuk very hard to understand. The midrashim are saying how they heard the word of Hashem and the spirits flew out of their bodies. And then we have another midrash, Nadav and Avihu, how they brought the Esh Zara, and all of a sudden they've burned to a crisp. And so that should be the same way it would happen on Har Sinai. Nobody tried it, so we have no idea how it would have gone down. But if someone would have tried to go up the mountain, I would think something like that would have happened. This is the day where Hashem is showing off. The Midrash says that on this day, Hashem, the whole world came to a standstill. Birds didn't chirp or fly, says the Midrash. The ocean didn't make waves, says the Midrash. Everything, now take a literal or take a figurative, either way, everything comes to a standstill. I'm coming down and talking to 3 million people. Never done before, never done again. This is a once in a, literally once, not in a lifetime, once in a universe event. And so if you come into my mountain, you're going to be pulverized. But it says later on, right after Matan Torah, we get one mitzvah. Right after the Torah is given, Hashem, before the parasha comes to an end, it's a very short parasha. Before the parasha comes to an end, Hashem says, by the way, Mizbah Adama ta'aseli. You should make for me a mizbeach, an altar. And when you do it, lo tivneh eten gazit. You cannot cut the stones for this altar with metal instruments. Why? Ki habecha hinafta aleh v'techaleleha. Because metal is used for killing. It's for swords. Metal kills people. So how could you use something that kills people on my holy altar? You cannot use metal to cut the stones of the altar. And so we see Hashem, when it comes to his highest, most holy objects, doesn't want anything remotely having to do with killing people, with instruments of war, with assassinations, with murders, with anything. David HaMelech, he was not chosen to build the Beit HaMikdash. Why? Blood was on his hands. Someone cannot build my holy temple who has blood on his hands, even though he was supposed to kill those people, or he was right to kill those people. It doesn't matter. There's blood on your hands. You cannot build my temple. But when it comes to Matan Torah, the holiest event in the history of the world, if you try to break through this perimeter, kisako yisakel, you will be surely stoned. What do the Mepharshim say? Ibn Ezra, Rashbam, I saw maybe 4 or 5 of them that say the same thing. Sako yisakel, says the Ibn Ezra, means stone him. It's a commandment to the people. Stone the guy, not an avalanche. Take a rock and throw it at him. All 3 million of you guys. Oyaro yare, says the Ibn Ezra, means shoot arrows at him. Lotiga bo yad doesn't necessarily mean lotiga bo yad, that a hand shouldn't touch the mountain. He already told us don't touch the mountain. Lotiga bo yad would mean don't touch the person who broke through with your hands. Because if you kill him with a sword, you're going to be tameh. Tameh met. You can't attend the ceremony. So don't touch him when you kill him. Stone him when you kill him. Throw arrows at him. Is this Matan Torah? Huh? Right there on the spot. And so we're reading this parasha for who knows how many years. It says straight out, Lo tiga bo yad kisako yisakel oyaro yare ibehema ish lo yehye. Don't go through because you will be surely stoned. What is going on here? That's what we're going to do. And if God forbid, if it would have happened, that would have been the glorious Matan Torah. Some zealous Jew, ultra right wing who decided he has to go up to the mountain at all costs, stoned by everybody else, pelleting the guy with rocks. What are we? Are we Jews?
It seems like a lot of these laws are prevented.
It definitely worked. It prevented it, that's for sure.
I guess God understands human nature.
But
And
Hashem,
knows them as
but Yossi,
bad people, but it's not
you're telling the inmates if one guy tries to break through, kill him. Hashem, this is Har Sinai. Take one of your lightning bolts and strike the guy if he starts to go up. Show us how amazing you are. You want us to kill? What are you trying to encourage over here? This is Matan Torah. And it bothered me, this concept, and I spoke about it with a bunch of my friends yesterday.
I think there's a difference here. Like I'm telling you, happen like spiritual or whatever. You would no man,
No one touched them.
right? Nobody. But here it says the people will judge and the people will.
The people. I want the crowd to take to. So I asked Moshe yesterday. So imagine you get a WhatsApp video of this Hasidic. Imagine the Lubavitch Rebbe was alive. Imagine the Hasidim are trying to get close to him. And you get a WhatsApp video. One guy breaks through. He's running up to the Rebbe. So what does everyone do? Everyone just like throws their siturim and tefillin on his head. All 3 million of them until he just collapses dead. He's dead. Is that like a nice, peaceful, friendly religion? This is Judaism? Or B, the Rebbe, let's say, says like something like, Hashem, take care of him, and bam, the guy drops on the spot. What would be better? I don't know if anyone would be better, but I mean, he broke the law. Crowd? Mob mentality? Kind of strange. Hashem is saying to us. And why is Hashem warning us again? He already told us once. He has to come back and tell us again. And so what we're talking about is, and I brought up the military yesterday when I was talking with Moshe about it. If you have someone who's deserting the military, they have to die. In almost I think every army, that's the rule. If someone deserts, they get shot in the back. But who shoots the guy in the back? Every soldier commanded, if someone turns around and runs, shoot him in the back, or is it the officers? I think it's the officers. So Moshe Rabbeinu, appoint officers. Every 50 feet, have one guy. Your job is to enforce the barrier, the perimeter. If someone goes up, kill him. Huh? That's mob mentality. You have a lot of zealous Jews. No trial. Someone crosses their toe over this line, everyone kill him. And you don't have to use your imagination so far. If you told Israelis, religious from Haredi Israelis right now, it's a mitzvah to kill someone who does something, you won't have to look far for volunteers. I mean, everyone's going to be very excited to throw stuff at him.
Go back. So if somebody would say I'm the closest for the film, but stay, right?
Where else do we have mob mentality or mob kill in Judaism? Where else do we? Goel Adam, Uncle Jack asked me about that. Goel Adam is a really hard law for a lot of people to accept. How the relative of someone who died should be able to go kill someone. Go kill the person who killed your relative? What kind of religion is this? That's one relative getting permission to kill one person. This is a mob. Millions of people have permission to throw stones. After the trial. After a trial, yeah. After a trial, the nation can get involved and kill, but just on the spot to throw stuff?
Maybe we might be comparing the people to understand that this is the word of God. And this is how you're going to be enforced.
There we go. Definitely. There we go.
We put it in mind, it's like, these aren't just random suggestions. These are things that are going to be enforced, not necessarily by me, but by
Exactly. That's exactly where we're going. What is this day? This is the coronation of the nation. This is Matan Torah. This is when you become a nation. We are born as a nation on this day. And Hashem says, today is day one of the new rules. Rule number one, I am not cleaning up your mess for you. Rule number one, you clean up your own mess. Don't expect me to send a lightning bolt every time someone eats pig. That's not the way I'm running this world. I'm putting the keys in your hands. And so I have to make sure I do this on day one. First of all, if Hashem were to do it and strike a person down and incinerate a person who breaches the thing, a month later, someone else does something wrong, doesn't get incinerated. I'm okay. Hashem says, no. This is the way this is going to work in this religion. This is the beginning, day one. These are the rules. You take care of your own problems. I'm telling you what's right and what's wrong, and I'm telling you, keep the order in your system. This is Judaism. It's not all coming from above. Kol Yisrael arevim ze lazeh. When we say Kol Yisrael arevim ze lazeh, we are all responsible for one another. It's not just a word of ahdut. We're all unified, which we should be. Kol Yisrael arevim. It's like a cosigner. A cosigner is responsible to pay the debt if the other person doesn't pay. We're all arevim ze lazeh. We're all cosigners. We're responsible for each other. That's the rules of this game. The Ben Ish Chai says, Rabbi Torsky says, when you put tefillin on your head and on your arm, what about your feet? Your feet didn't put tefillin on. What about your belly button? It didn't get tefillin. Obviously, your whole body got the tefillin because your whole body is one goof. If one part of the body puts the tefillin, the right part of the body, we treat the whole body as it had a tefillin today. The same thing goes with all of the mitzvot in the Torah, says Rabbi Torsky. If we consider us, Am Yisrael, as really one nation, because she lit Shabbat candles, it's like I lit Shabbat candles. Because I put tefillin on, it's like she put tefillin on. And I had a bechor and I did pidyon haben, but he had a girl and didn't do pidyon haben. It doesn't matter. I did it for him. How does any one person fulfill all 613 mitzvot? It's impossible. Someone has to get divorced and give a get. How do I fulfill that? I should never have to. How does I fulfill that mitzvah? There's a story of a Rebbe that did that. You know, there's a rabbi that once did that just to fulfill the mitzvah of divorcing. True story. And then marry her again to fulfill the mitzvah of Mahazid Yerushalayim. When someone else did it the proper way, it's like I did it. But there's only one way that works. You got to consider yourself one goof. If you consider yourself one goof, and arevim ze lazeh, we're all in this together. Like a co-signer, he signed for me, and then I'm done. That's the rules of engagement. This is what Hashem is setting up on day one. We are responsible for one another. And so I could punish you, but you punish yourself. When I was talking with my friend yesterday about this, and I asked the question about the military, if someone deserts, who shoots him in the back? And he told me, a lot of times in training camps, they do instill this idea that you guys have to look out for each other. And if any of you mess up, collective punishment is a very popular phrase they're throwing around right now. Should all the people be punished for something? Collective punishment could be very, very powerful. It could work. If anyone messes up, the whole battalion has to pay the price. Everyone has to do laps. Everyone has to do push-ups. Eventually, they'll self-govern the area. They'll make sure that they fall in line. That's Judaism. Not that Hashem, we're relying on God to strike down every single person with a lightning bolt when they do something. It's from us to monitor ourselves. And then there's the last concept of Lo Bashamayim. Judaism is not in the heavens. Judaism is very, very much all the way down on earth, intentionally so. It's our job not to climb mountains in Sri Lanka and to meditate on the highest mountain we can climb on. It's our job to go as low as possible into this world and to sanctify it. Mizbah Adama, said the Ben Ish Chai. Mizbah Adama Ta'asili, Ben Ish Chai says, the halakha is, the Gemara in Zevachim says, the altar was not allowed to have any legs. No legs on the altar. Straight on the ground. It has to be touching the ground. The ground is a domim. It's the lowest form of matter in this world. It's not alive. Dirt is not alive. Stones are not alive. Mizbah Adama Ta'asili, the holiest object, has to go all the way down to the most mundane level. And Hashem says, Lo b'shamayim. Everything has to be handled down here. We don't look up for every single thing that happens. We look here. We look down. The last question we didn't answer yet is the Or HaHaim's question. Why warn them so many times? 2, 3 times. Don't go up. Don't go up. I told you don't go up. Moshe says, you already told them. And it's so delicious that pasuk is included in the Torah. Everything doesn't have to be, the whole conversation doesn't have to be in the Torah. Hashem includes in the Torah Moshe's response, but you already told us. That's in the Torah also. Why? Hashem says, I know I already told you. The Or HaHaim says, Hashem says, I know the nature of people. Like we said before, the moth wants to get to the light so badly. Or HaHaim says, Hashem says, I told you one time, don't climb this mountain or you will die. And I know you told them that. But we didn't address one additional point. What about the zealous Jew who says, I will happily die for God? Says Or HaHaim. So the second warning, Moshe, is not don't go the mountain or you will die. It's, I don't want you to die. Don't go up the mountain for me and die for me. I don't want that either. I want you to stay on the ground. So the Or HaHaim is saying, Hashem is warning them again, don't do mesirut nefesh. I gotta give up my life to Hashem. Don't commit suicide for Hashem. Stay on the ground. And that's why he's saying so many times, don't cross this perimeter. I don't want you to climb higher. Yeah, but Hashem, I want to reach holiness. I'm not comparing this. I'm not judging anyone or comparing anyone or saying it's even wrong. Just as an example, just to shed some light. Sometimes you see in the shul, after the tefillah or middle of tefillah, someone will go up to the Hechal HaKadosh and do a little prayer by the Aron HaKodesh. I'm not saying it's not allowed. That person is obviously yearning to be closer. They don't feel close enough where they are. I think that's undisputable. Not judging. They don't, or sometimes after, I'll come here in off times, not during tefillah. You'll see some people coming off the street and they'll go all the way up and say a prayer by the Aron HaKodesh. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's fine. It just shows that you don't feel from your seat 20 feet away that you're as close as you need to be to Hashem. That's all. Whether good or bad. We have a yearning to get closer to Hashem. Hashem says, you could yearn to get closer to me. Don't break the perimeter, the barricade, and jump to touch the Rebbe. Slow down. Stay exactly where you are. And if you do that, I want all of you guys to enforce it, not me. I want your brothers, your other people are going to enforce it. That's Judaism. Just to end off with one last idea, we said, Mizbah Abanim Ta'aseli, the holiest object has to be all the way touching the ground with no legs, no pedestals. Ben Ish Chai writes, and he says, well, these days we don't have a Mizbeah. There's no more altar. We only have tefillah. Ushalema farim sefatenu. Our tefillah is in the place of our Mizbeah. So first of all, if the Mizbeah couldn't have been on a pedestal, when you're praying, don't put yourself on a pedestal, which is actually a halakha, by the way. Figuratively and literally. You're not allowed to pray on top of a chair. You don't put yourself on a pedestal, but also figuratively. Don't put yourself on a pedestal. If you were in the Beit HaMikdash, the Mizbeach would be touching the ground. You too. Ground yourself. Be grounded. Right, so halakhically, if you have a wide enough area, it's not called a pedestal anymore because it's called a new area. It's a new area. But a chair like this, you can't stand on this chair. Yeah, exactly. It has to be wide enough, but if you just stand on a chair, that's a pedestal. From the lowest places, you can call Hashem. Yeah, exactly. And the last piece from the Ben Ish Chai, beautiful Ben Ish Chai, he writes, is, what was the commandment for the Mizbeach? You cannot cut it. Lo tivnei ten gazit. Don't cut the stones of the Mizbeach. These days, the Mizbeach is only on tefillot. So your words, don't cut them also. It says in Minish High, keep the words whole. Don't cut the words. For example, when we say in the Amidah, Mi chamocha ba'al givurot. Now, if you're Ashkenaz, you're going to have a hard time with this. Bless you. Mi chamocha ba'al givurot. Who is like you? Ba'al, the owner of power, of strength. But if you say Mi chamocha ba'al givurot, and you don't say ba'al, ba'al means without. Who is like you, Hashem, without any strength? God forbid. Or he can say, Me'et Hashem ha'itazot, says Ibn Ishai. These are his examples. If you swallow it up, you say, Met Hashem. Hashem's dead, God forbid. And so Ibn Ishai says, the only thing we have from the Mizbeach is a tefillot. Don't cut the words. Pay attention. Ground it. Whole words. Ba'al givurot. Yeah. Yeah.
They take
The knives. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, there's two reasons why they do that. They take off the knives. Number one, for the Mizbeach. Number two, because they used to be so afraid when someone said V'kat Mazon, V'tivnei Yerushalayim, they're going to be so sad that Yerushalayim, they'll stab themselves, God forbid. So they said take the knives off the table. But on Shabbat, some people say that doesn't apply because you don't get sad on Shabbat. Anyway, the bottom line is this. When it said in Torah, Kisako Yisakel, according to many commentaries, it was literal. They will surely be stoned by people. Why? Lo b'shamayim. Hashem gives us the keys. We are all responsible for one another. And we are setting the tone from day one. This is the way it's going to be. Hashem doesn't interfere. Hashem designed the world for us to live in down here without interference. He created nature. We follow the rules. We enforce our own stuff. And the last part is the Ben Ish Chai, what he said. The grounded of the Mizbeach has to be all the way on the ground. The highest utensil we have, all the way on the ground. Don't be afraid to get down in the dirt. You have someone where you have a chance to bring them to your Shabbat table. They're not too low for you. They're not too low for you. Bring them up. Get down on the ground. The Mizbeach was down on the ground with no pedestal. We get down, we do our best work, like you said. You do your best work for Hashem when you go low. As long as you fortify yourself and you have good yourself, you can share with other people. That's the message for this week of Matan Torah. Everyone have an amazing week. Hashem. Talk to you soon. Yalla. Thank you, Moshe.